Thanks for joining us for another Ashram Talks discussion. Recently in these Gita classes, we've been talking about the topic of acting versus not acting, or maybe remaining idle. And we've gotten a lot of comments and questions with viewers saying things like, well, not all of the activities I do in a day are spiritual, right? We all have to pay our bills online, go to work. So today we're going to explore the topic of maybe our work or our daily activities can actually be beneficial for our spiritual life and our spiritual practice, and hopefully even be a kind of a source of fulfillment and satisfaction for us. So to join us today in this topic, we have Prema joining us from New Jersey. Welcome, Prem. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah. Prema is actually, you're the person who introduced my father to Bhakti Yoga. And, then through him, I could also kind of learn more about this practice and have this opportunity. So, I feel a lot of gratitude toward you on a personal level. My family feels a lot of gratitude toward you. So I'm really happy that you're here to kind of share your perspective with us on these topics.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I don't know, life works in mysterious ways, and I remember when I just came to the United States, and when I first met Abai, he was like, his enthusiasm was contagious, so we clicked immediately. He's like a couple years younger than me, maybe 2 years younger, and although I had seen Krishna consciousness back in Ecuador, I kind of like have lost it a little bit here because lack of association. Actually, I had just been in contact with the books, and when just a little story before we, because you brought it up.
Yeah.
So I remember how I was like so enthusiastic, young, full of life, and I was like, we clicking. He was driving already. He was like, I don't know, like somehow he got a driver's license. So he offered me a job, and we used to ride half an hour from Danbury to Middlebury, or what? Yeah, Middlebury. And so he was also like a great motivation to keep me going at that time. I remember. So I don't know if I ever told him, but and and after a while, when I got completely burned with the material activities, I was like, I think at the back of the books there's like temple somewhere. Let's check it out. So that's how somehow we help each other on the path of spiritual life. So it was a mutual uh, assistance, a mutual collaboration. So
Nice.
I gotta say that.
Yeah, that's really nice. Well, thank you for sharing that story. I know you have a lot of experience, right? Like maybe learning about Bhakti Yoga in Ecuador and in New York, living in the ashram as a monk, but also having a family and having a job. So we're excited to learn about your perspective through all of these experiences. So whenever you're ready, we can get started for today.
Thank you so much. So before starting, let me say like a little prayer for guidance. Okay. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness, ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So the topic for today is chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, how we should most of us will have to work all our lives. So what do the Vedas, the books of knowledge from India, tells us about, guide us um, about doing that? Most of us are gonna get married, 99.9%, or have a relationship. Maybe not getting married, but have a relationship. So what to do? How to act? How do we integrate uh, family life, spiritual life, working life? How do we get along with how do we act in our place of work. So let's see if we can turn down a little bit about this topic. Okay, let me make the screen a little bigger. I got these glasses, but still, Okay, so Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, entitled Karma Yoga, verse 22. Na me partashti kartavyam trishu lokesu kinchana nana bhattam avaptavyam bharta eva cha karmani. O son of Prita, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in one of anything, nor have I need to attain anything, and yet I am engaged in work. Do you have the purport there or no? Let's see. I got the purport here in case you don't have it. I have a few bookmarks over here. Got to make sure that I open the right place. So let's read a little bit to see what we can talk about. Okay, text 22. So the purport says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in the Vedic literatures as follows. Tamishwaram paramang maheshwaram tandevatanam paramanchadapyam patim patinam paramam parastat vidama devam bhuvanesha midyam natasya karyam karanancha vidyate natat samascha vyadikascha drishyate parasya shakti vividaya shuyate swabhaviki jnana vala kriyacha. And these prayers are coming from a book called the Shvetasvatara Upanishad. So basically saying that the Lord is the controller and He's the leader of all the living entities. There's no one greater than Him. The Supreme Lord is the controller of all other controllers. He is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Everyone is under His control. All entities are delegated with particular powers only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all demigods and is the supreme director of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders and controllers, and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. So, Bhagavad Gita is a theistic literature. This version of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Yoga, when there is a relationship with a personal entity. And the next one that I read says, he does not possess bodily form like that, an ordinary living entity. There's no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. His senses are transcendental. Anyone with his senses can perform the action of any other sense. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. So Srila Prabhupada, the person who translated his books, he came in 1966. And I remember when, at the beginning when I was like learning the science of Krishna consciousness, he always had mentioned this Parasya Shakti Vividaya Shuyate Swaviki Jnana Vala Kriyacha. So this Sanskrit shloka means that the Lord only has to think about something and it becomes manifested. We ordinary living beings have to toil so hard in order to perform something. For example, if you want to buy a car, we have to work, get money, insure the car, we have to put gas and buy the car. And so there's all this manipulation of material energy. Whereas in the divine energy, this personality here, Supreme Lord, just has to think about it and it just manifests. So it's a completely different energy. Before I continue, let's see if we can read some of my notes from here. in the previous chapter, we mentioned that yad yad acharati shrestas, that when you have some big power, you have a big responsibility. And I remember, so when you are famous, common people are gonna follow your example. Even there's a Colombian music band called Bomba Stereo, and they were interviewing the leader of that band, Lee Samad, something like that's her name, and she was saying that this my position is very important. I have so many followers, and I have to show by example. So the words that come from my mouth are like mantras. The words that come from my are like mantras, and they are very important to. If I say something, people are gonna enact that. So how important is to be like a father, a teacher, a boss, a politician? We have the duty to act by showing by example. And one Maharaj, I forgot the name of the Maharaj who gave the class a couple months ago from Austria. He was mentioning about that as soon as you get a material body, you have to pay debts, because we breathe, we have to eat, we have this little bit of free will. So we see that if we're living in this world anywhere, Ecuador, United States. I say Ecuador because I was born there. So even if I was living there, I have to pay electricity and rent and all these things. And so going back to the topic, so Maharaj talked about the yagya, that we are connected. Our debt, besides our natural bills, is that we have to do some austerity. As soon as you have a material body, you have to do some austerity. What's an austerity? Getting up, going to work, right? So there's also other austerities that we have to perform. And I took some notes here talking about Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma was this very powerful living entity who is the leader of our sampradaya, our line. And he was in the spiritual world, and he came to the material world because of desires to be independent of the Supreme. And he's showing us what happens when that happened. So he was in a dark place. Lord Brahma was in a dark place. He was looking everywhere. And then he heard the word tapa, which means austerity. So he meditated for many years, and the path was spoken to him through to this mantra called the Gayatri mantra. Yeah. Continuing with this topic, I run into the Isha Upanishad, which is a book that has like a bunch of mantras, very powerful mantras. I know one devotee who was very smart because he was doing a PhD, and he got this book when he was doing his PhD, and it just blew his mind. He says like there is so much knowledge in that book that, excuse me, that it convinced him that there is like some higher power. And I'm gonna read a couple, like the invocation in text mantra 1 and mantra 2. So the invocation says Om Purna Madam Purna Midam Purnat Purna Mudachate Purnasya Purnamadayam Purnam Eva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because he is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains in complete balance. So it's kind of like you have to hear it a couple times to understand the first time. And there's other mantras. They said the supreme walks and does not walk. He's far away, but he's very near as well. He's within everything. Is he outside of everything? Anyway, so that's the invocation. And mantra one says, this is very nice, because then we have like a whole view of what our role is, how we can act for like a long time, how we can live happy for a long time. Ishavasya midam sarvam yad kincha jagatyan jagat tena tvakyena bunjita mad grihda kasya sui danam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and known by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So, knowing who the proprietor of everything is, we have to be careful to not to try to take too much. So there's a quota for every one of us. And mantra 2 says, Kurban ebeha karma ni jiji visek shatang samaha evan twai nangyayetusti na karma livyatenare. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working on that way, but that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for man. So I thought that was very enlightening, how if we continually work on this consciousness of, okay, there's a proprietor and I'm allowed to use X number of things, but I still have, I'm still allowed to do my thing, but acknowledging that there is a higher power. Let me review my notes here. So what to do if you're still have many desires? We want to. Recently, there was a conversation about it was a senior disciple, maybe in his 70s, but he was explaining that his schedule, he has a 15-minute schedule. What am I doing in the next 15 minutes? Then what am I doing in the next 15 minutes? What am I doing in the next 15? So I guess as you grow older, you become conscious of, my time is running out, so I better fix my consciousness. Because as we know, unfortunately, we have this material body, which we don't know how long we're going to stay here. But we should not focus on that, because we have an alternative. I mean, we should not get paranoid, right? Although as we grow older, we think about that. I certainly think about, I'm in my 50s. I think more about that, oh my gosh, but at the same time, I have my duties. I have a 16-year-old, I have to provide. So, so this devotee was saying that he, back in the day, he used to play golf and he was so good at it. He used to do scuba diving. He used to racing a boat, something like that, like some far out things. He said, "Oh, I was number one in this. And he was, an initiated person in the 60s when Prabhupada came. So obviously he had some desires, but gradually you have some permission to, in a regulated way. If you like to cook, you can cook and offer the food to the Lord. If you like to, so those tendencies can be utilized for the service of the Lord. Like I was talking to the devotee from Colombia. I forgot her name. Anyway, so she said that. Sorry, my dog is distracting me here. Faith, it's okay. I have a little dog. So he, my train of thought just went away. Um, anyway, so I apologize about that. So back to the devotee. So the devotee. So we have the desire. So we have to purify those desires, but we cannot be attached to those permissions because that's also a dangerous path. The Bhagavad Gita tells us that. So you have to, as a household, as a grihasta, you're allowed to have your wife, your husband, but you always have to be conscious of uh, the ultimate goal, which is like we are just passing through here, and you have to be detached. And so going back to this point of austerity, I'm going to stop very soon because I would like to discuss some points with Radhesham and whoever wants to ask some questions. So let me see. I was looking at some comments. No, it's not for me. So we have to work in a detached way. One story that I was thinking early, that when I used to distribute books, and sometimes you have these books, and you, as a service, when I was living in the temple, and you, everybody smiles at you, and everybody takes books from you. But the next day, nobody takes. You think like, I got this down. I know how to do it. So the ego, you have to act in such a way, in a detached way. Going back to the point of detachment, you have to act in a way that you are always dependent on a higher power, on your teachers. And as soon as you are trying to think that you are the door, then I mean that that you are the controller, there is a problem. So Radhesham, I would like to know if you have anything to add on, because I'm sorry about, like, I lost the track.
Definitely. Yeah, I know that there are definitely a lot that we can discuss around these topics. Maybe
Okay.
we can just read the last two verses, and then we can discuss a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so since everything is in full opulence in the personality of Godhead and is existing in full truth, there is no duty for the supreme personality of Godhead to perform. One must receive the result of work. I'm sorry. One who must receive the result of work has some designated duty. But one who has nothing to achieve within the three planetary systems certainly has no duty. And yet, Lord Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra as the leader of his Kshatriyas, because the Kshatriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distressed. Although he is above all the regulations of the scriptures, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scriptures. Nice. Text 23. I'm just going to read because we are running like short on time, the translation in the purport. For if I ever fail to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men will follow my path. Purport: in order to keep the balance of social tranquility for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family usages meant for every civilized man. Although such rules and regulations are for the conditioned souls and not for Lord Krishna, because he descended to establish the principles of religion, he followed the prescribed duties. Otherwise, common men will follow in his footsteps, because he is the greatest authority. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home as required of a householder. Yeah, again, that the importance of showing by example. I don't know if I said that before, but I remember an analogy about the king of the jungle. So the king of the jungle, the lion, is sitting there, and it's not gonna, the lion opens his mouth and the prey is gonna come. No, the lion has to go and hunt the prey. So even to keep the body, we have to act. So again, I like the point here that um, that if you have a powerful position, you still have to act. Let's go to the next verse. I just gonna summarize the last one because um, it's a long purport. It says, text 24. Krishna is saying here, if I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds will be put to ruination. I guess ruination is to like catastrophe or destruction. I will be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I will thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. Um, so the summary of this the Prabhupada's purport is saying that we should not follow. I'm sorry, we should not imitate the powerful people, but try to follow in their footsteps. And one of the stories is given here is about Lord Shiva, who drank an ocean of poison. So some devotees of Lord Shiva, they want to also indulge in, Prabhupada mentions here, like smoking ganja and doing other things, but Prabhupada emphasizes that by doing that, they're calling dead, sickness and dead fastly. But following the footsteps is trying to see the main message and follow, not imitate. Another example Prabhupada mentioned here is that some people try to imitate Lord Krishna in a rasa dance, which is like a very it's like a very deep topic that it will take some time to like many classes to explain. But Lord Krishna also had like a when he was a child, he lifted like a big hill, but they are not doing that. They are just imitating whatever seems easy. And so Varna Sankara means like when the whole society stops following rules and regulations, and they think that human life is just meant to enjoy and work as hard as you can. Doesn't matter who you exploit, just as long as you are happy, so-called happy, because if you live a life by abusing others, exploiting others, you're not gonna be happy. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here to see if there's any more.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and going through those verses. I think kind of the topics we've been touching these past few classes have been about acting, right? Or maybe when you're in doubt, you're not sure what to do, it's better to do something, right? Rather than to do nothing. I think we hear a lot like within these text topics like about performing your duty and sacrificing, right? Like if you have a family, you have to do these things, you have to perform these duties and work, or even if you live in the ashram, you have to make these sacrifices and perform your duty, almost if it was like an arduous, like kind of difficult thing, you have to do it. But on the other hand, I think we also hear an emphasis on following your nature, right? Like kind of finding that thing that's yours and kind of doing that, right? Like doing something that feels natural to you. So how do we harmonize those two points, right? Like you have to follow your duty, and maybe that implies some type of sacrifice, but at the same time, it's important to find something that you identify with doing, right?
Yeah, so you have to be honest and work from there. Just realize that I'm down there. I might seem that I'm flying over here, but actually, you have to start from the bottom, like honesty. Because when you're honest to yourself, then you don't have to make you don't have to lie. You know, think about in a relationship. You have a relationship with somebody, and you start lying to your partner. Then you're gonna fall into that's like a kind of like something that came to my
Yeah.
mind. So you just be natural who you are and progress from there, and you will be, because of your honesty and simplicity, you don't have to show, oh, I'm this. In the beginning, initially, there's a tendency to criticize your family, like, like, excuse me, there's this what's up enough this fanaticism,
Yeah, absolutely.
because you are not secure of your faith yet. Your faith is growing, but after a while you realize that that doesn't mean that you have to lack. You always have to keep in touch with mentors, and so that they can check your progress. And I'm working on that too, because in spiritual life we have
Ups and
so
downs.
so yeah.
Ups and downs, right?
Yeah, you have these up and downs, because there's a book by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakura, who's a teacher who Madhurya Kandambini
Yeah.
is very nice, because it's explaining how faith grows and grows. So the highest asset that we have is our faith. How more faith you have in the process, and we have doubts and things like that, and but by analyzing that book, you can see exactly where you are. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's I will advise, if you can put that book somewhere, Madhurya Kandambini by
Yeah, we
sure.
can put it in the notes. Yeah. Yeah, that's important. I like that you're touching on that, right? Like the importance of being honest with yourself about where
Yeah,
you are. And
honestly, very
yeah,
important.
I agree. It's in right in the beginning of, I don't know, starting a spiritual practice, or maybe the first time being part of a spiritual community. I think there is so much, I don't know, pressure to feel like you need to be a certain way, right? Or think of a standard and think that we need to kind of meet that standard. But at what point do you think in your practice you maybe become mature enough to be honest with yourself, right? Or to realize, like, yeah, that you need to be aware of, I don't know, who you are and where you are, and accept that.
Yeah. You remind me of there's a verse in the Gita, I think that the second chapter, that about duty, that when it says it is better to be a sweeper in the street than a meditator charlatan who lives by the cost of others, you know. And there's many, who are we to judge? We all kind of like, we are on the same path, but there's examples that where they show, even big meditators from the Bhagavatam, like there was this sage, what's his name? So he went to meditate. He was being meditating. He will get disturbed by the noise and stuff, so he had the power to go and meditate under the water. So he was meditating under the water, and then he got disturbed there under the water, and how to get out and get married, and what's the name of that? So you might try to be austere and etc., but it's gonna be fake. So that's why Lord Chaitanya, the inaugurator of the Dharma for this age, made it so easy. He said, like, you can congregate and chant the names of the Lord, and that will purify you. Your desires will become aligned to. So uh, cultivate that purification of consciousness of mind, and we have the japa too, right? The Which is like a rosary when you meditate, like individual, and there is the congregational chanting, which I'm trying to work on that also. I mean, I do chant, but like I've been lacking now.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to work on it too. Yeah.
So yeah, like when young people like you're full of energy. You can go on, like, then after you like hit your 50s, your energy goes. You have less energy, so you have to become a little like lethargic. Your mind starts becoming slowing down a little bit, but still you keep that spirit. And there's never retirement in spiritual life, because let's say once you retire from the material life, and you get a pension or something, like, hopefully the social security is still there when anyway, so then the Vedas recommend that now the Vedas recommend you be serious all your life, but here is like, okay, now your children have grown up, your desires are a little subdued. Now is the time to become serious about, yeah. So and it's not like an austere life because you've been practicing. It becomes sweet. It becomes you get inspiration from that. So and in association, like every how to question boils down to association. Sadhu Sangha. You have to associate with the people who are following that. By Zoom, by I forgot the name of the EV MOOCs. Yeah, and therefore so. We see our mentor Maharaj, who created this program. Out of compassion, he's like, let them, come out and talk about that. So he's doing that. He's creating association.
Yeah, definitely. And so do you think, like, what should be a red flag for us or a signal, right? If we're maybe trying to do something in our spiritual community or in our spiritual life that you mentioned, might feel fake or doesn't feel natural, or maybe, just doesn't make us feel satisfied or happy, right? Like, what is a signal to us that maybe we're not being true to ourselves or kind of true to the place that we're at in our spiritual life?
Well, that's a good sign that you're feeling like that. Okay, when you're feeling like I'm good, then there's a problem.
Okay.
But we have to be careful with offending the bodies. Sometimes, so that's what we say in the beginning, right? Vancha kalpa taruyascha kripa sindhuvya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So that prayer is saying to the devotees, you are the most tolerant people in you are compassionate and you are full of blessings. And the analogy is like the desired tree. In the spiritual world there is yes, so in the spiritual world there's these trees who you ask them for something and they'll give you that. Uh, so the devotees are compared to these desired trees, and they are full of compassion for when they see the people are suffering. The devotees, they try to give them their association. They try to inspire them, and because they are feeling that that gratitude, they also want to share. So you feel this. Maybe they want to take it, maybe no, but let's do it. And the Gita also says, right? If you start sharing the science, you're very dear to me. So whatever you read, if you share it, and hopefully, there's many religious paths. The Vedas, this Krishna consciousness is one. There's other processes that people from other countries are following, and and they are happy with that. And some we can discuss about the what's common in our paths. So yeah, sadhu sangha. That's what you need when you are create your association. I hear you're in Long Island. Make sure you have your association somewhere.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
yeah, and I don't know where Colleen you are, but you are following.
Yeah,
You
Colleen
are
is in the
you
UK.
are like
Yeah, and she's always with us in every class. Yeah, I thank you for touching on gratitude. I think it's so important to, remind ourselves daily about, what we have versus, what we might not have, and just kind of have that glass half full mentality. And yeah, I mean, we're definitely really fortunate to be able to interact and go through the Gita, together through this platform in this way. Um, yeah, Colleen, yeah, joining us from the UK.
UK.
Thank you, Colleen. Yeah, and again, going back to what we said kind of at the beginning, on a personal level, right? I feel grateful for you, right? Because I think you were able to share this practice with my family, and then to me, and now we can kind of share this together and be here with Colleen and everyone who is joining us today, and joining us throughout this program. So, yeah, again, we really just appreciate you joining us and kind of taking the time to talk more about your own insights and everything that you've experienced.
Thank you for engaging me. I was hesitating to come into this platform, but you are a devotee, so you order me, and what do I have to do? I have to surrender. And
Yeah,
and I appreciate it because like you were saying, the time I spent it in the temple, I had a chance to listen. Like some of the devotees also. There's like what's his name? Uh, Simon Haas, Prabhu, and the other devotees who also some of them have lived in the temple and spent so much time in India. They have so much to offer. So that's we don't want that to be like that fortune that we had to associate and to kind of like before getting married be in that environment. That was like very very fortunate to have had that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, trying to share as
Yeah,
much as we can.
definitely. And we would love, in a future class to learn more about, I don't know, your time living in the ashram in New York, or I'm sure you have a lot of stories that you could share with us. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Colleen says, appreciated your wisdom, Prem. Very cheerful.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Colleen is like 1 a.m. over there. Oh my gosh! Thank
Yeah,
you so
it's
much,
1
Colleen.
a.m. in the UK where Colleen is joining us from. Yeah, we really appreciate having speakers that, from all sorts of walks of life and who carry with them all of these different experiences and insights. So, thank you again so much for joining us. And we definitely hope that you will continue to join us as we just kind of continue to explore the Bhagavad Gita in this way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All
Okay.
right. Well, again, thanks out to everyone who is joining us today. We look forward to seeing you Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to continue exploring the Gita. See you soon.